Alright, so taking a look on the right side underneath the intake manifold, you can see you get a connector here that is for the oil pressure switch, which also feeds the VVT line. And that's the routing of that. This is a tough coolant hose to get off when the engine is in the car, but it comes in, it's not impossible, but it connects on top of the oil filter cooling housing, and then it goes back. This is the tricky one to get on the rear of the engine right there. So there's that one that's a little tricky to get that I'm going to replace with the engine out of the car, and then there's the one, the feed and return line from the oil cooler lines, and that comes off and goes right up to the intake side. So that one might be a little tricky if your alternator is still in the car, but hopefully this helps giving you guys a look underneath the side of one of these engines, the VVT engines. So we got the motor flipped upside down now. What I'm going to do next is tackle the oil pan. I got this drip tray underneath because when I flipped it upside down, there's no valve cover on. Gonna have oil coming out the top, but I just replaced this coolant hose that runs from the oil cooler sandwich plate to the throttle body. And then I put the new OEM hose from the exit of that to the rear cooling connection back there. All new clamps, looking good. I just did the front main seal. That was very easy, not much to it. The Car Passion channel video went over that pretty well, so I don't want to duplicate his work, make it any more complicated than it needed to be. Now, with the motor upside down, I'm going to tackle this oil pan. I'll leave a video link in the description for the DIY I followed for this. Like I said, I'm not going to remake an oil pan DIY, but I will just shoot some footage that when I pop this off of how crusty those seals are, those Halfmoon seals on the front and the rear, which are causing my leak. Alright, so once you got all the oil pan bolts out, the two back here are super long because they feed down through this whole distance into the head, into the block, and then you have the same length ones all the way around. But to crack the sealant loose, just get yourself a small pry bar or a flathead screwdriver, and right between the oil pan and the block at this engine mount point back here, you can slip in there and slowly put pressure, and you'll start to hear the silicone separate. And you can pull that side up, then you go to the other side, you do the same. So I've got this loose now. Let's see if we can pull this off. Feel some silicone on the front that's binding this up, but you can see there's that nasty Halfmoon seal that's probably going to crack into a million pieces when I take this pan off. Come straight up, hung up on the dipstick tube right now. There she is, 168,000. Got some little bit of nastiness going on in here, but I'll get it all cleaned up before we put it back in the car. There's the pickup, and we'll just take a quick look around. So I found this interesting. The DIYs for the oil pans online, the windage tray like stops here and like here, so you have to put it on, and then there's like two different thickness heights. This windage tray goes all the way around to the Halfmoon seals on each side. So like that steel surface that you seal on the bottom of and on top of goes all the way to the Halfmoon over here and carries back all the way around pretty much. So I wasn't expecting that. Maybe it's a different generation of Mazda. So in order to get that windage tray off, you got to take the oil pickup tube off. I did get a new Mazda OEM gasket to go there, but just crack these two bolts and this nut here off, pull this off, then we should be able to separate the windage tray from the block. Should come straight up and off. There's my old gasket. So I assume this is the factory seal job, but just look at how much silicone they use. There's just oozed into the windage tray here by quite a bit. I know the new BRZs and GR86s have been criticized and having a lot of discoveries of excess RTV used, but you know, it could be nothing new. Maybe someone's just raising a problem, because look at this massive bead inside the oil pan here. Then again, not much was on this pickup screen or anything. Of course, this car's 21 years old, not only a year old like the GR86, but definitely a lot of silicone was used to seal this pan down as well. But let's see if we can get these seals out. So there's your Halfmoon. And like I said, must be the earlier Miatas didn't have the windage tray made up so perfectly with the seal. Got these cutouts in the seal that also had made out with the cutouts on the windage tray right there. So that's an interesting observation. But these were the source of my leaks. They definitely aren't as brittle as I expected to see. But you can see they're not snapping apart like you've seen in other videos online. But they're definitely not nice and fresh. They don't have any squish left to them. They're all hard and probably shrunk up a little bit over the years, and that's what's letting oil by. Let's go ahead and see if we can get the rear one off. This is the one that was leaking really bad. The front one wasn't. Had a small weep to it, but this one was literally just oozing past. And this one feels a lot more. This one feels a lot more stiff than the one from the front. Yeah, that one. You can just tell it's 2 decades is how long these Mazda seals can last about, and that's the end of that. So definitely probably won't have this car for the next time this needs to be done if this engine lasts that long, but not the greatest design the way this all seals together in my opinion, comparing it to the other car that was made in the exact same year from Honda. It was, you don't gotta do any of this crap. The windage tray is not sandwiched between the oil pan and the block. It's bolted in from the inside. This is just, it works probably, but it's in these Halfmoon seals and everything, but it's, you know, there's a lot of room for leaks, as you can see. Definitely when you have more things to add and sealing surfaces to try to cover. Even putting this valve cover back on this car is kind of funky to me. I find it funny you have to put a new valve cover on and then clean old RTV dots off from the cam caps and then put new RTV on the cam caps edges there to correctly seal a new valve cover, gasket on. That's just hokey to me. I don't think you should have to do that. But these designs go back, to the 1980s, the late 80s, when they originally released the first Miata, and not a ton was really revolutionized on the engine side of things until the NC Miata. I mean, granted there were changes, this is variable valve timing, but the design elements, like just the way things seal together here, there's definitely room for improvement, in my opinion. But it was a cheap car, it's a lot cheaper car than the S2000 back in the day, so maybe this was a lot cheaper to manufacture at the time, so. Alright, so now I'm going to try to get an edge underneath here and probably have no luck. I don't really know the best way to get this windage tray off. I might have to go underneath and pry on something, though I'm not sure if I want to go that route. It looks like this doesn't just come off easily either. You got Torx heads underneath the caps for the crank. But this makes me think, could I just get away with scraping the top of this right now? I think in order to do it right, you'd have to take these off and pry the windage tray up and redo all of that. So let me know in the comments below if that's how it's supposed to be on these VVT engines. Alright, so after a little research online on the Miata forums, I've learned that this is actually called the main bearing support plate, the MBSP. So that's what it's referred to in the owner's manual or the service manual. and what they all call it online. So I was originally calling it a windage tray,